And the paddock next to the railway line was also Dad's, Harry John Romey, and Esther Charlotte Mary Romey. And now I'm focusing on the silos, the wheat silos, right beside the railway line. The train used to stop here when we were kids, and we used to get our mail and our bread, sometimes meat brought out, and Driscoll's, Martin Driscoll, and Madge, and what was the name, June? And Nora. Jane Stanley. There used to be a house here, and the mail was sorted over at the house. I'm now focusing the camera around towards the St Arnaud Hills. And up towards Sutherland, and Dad's property was right beside the railway line. Now over to Jim Feeney's property, where Mum and Dad were the working couple.
Now, Mum and Dad lived there when they were first married as a working couple, and later Dad became a share farmer with old Jim Feeney.
Canes lived further over from us, Mick Kane and Des Kane.
We're looking towards Mum and Dad's house, or the old house where we all grew up until I was about 10, I think, and along the railway line towards Sutherland. This was a paddock that the ground soil was very touchy, had to be sown before there was rain, or else Dad couldn't get the wheat in. It's too low lying. Looking up towards Canes and the Shanassies and the Donald Road.
What you said?
Every year, the old blackfellow used to come from the south along the line and go up north, and he used to spend a few weeks under the trees at O'Shanassy's there. He'd build a little campfire, he'd come up to the house for supplies, for some flour and a few potatoes, and Mum would give him some meat if she had it, and some tea and sugar. And Dad would always give him some tobacco. And he used to sit there under the trees, and we used to come down after school and ride our bikes past just to get a look at the blackfellow. But we wouldn't go anywhere near him. We were frightened of him. I heard later on that the blackfellow was the last of his tribe, that he had been the king of his tribe. He had the insignia of a king. And he was just the last of his tribe and his family. And every year he vanished up the line here towards Coco.
We're just a little further up the road, getting closer to the house where we used to live when we were kids. We're looking right across now towards the Donald Road. Driscoll's used to have a paddock there. And up to the hill towards Les Bugies. There's Jean standing by the car. Hose has owned this property now. Don Hose and his son Greg. They've also got another property at Marnood. This used to be Mick Cain's paddock, opposite to where we lived, and looking over towards Swanwater South School where it was. The house where we lived. Up the side road, what we call the side road, just from the house and towards the railway line. The silos. And beside the railway line. How many acres, June? 1,000?
And looking up to south.
Okay. We've just stopped in front of the house and all the little waterfowl. Looking down to the Swanwater silos. Dad used to cart all his wheat down there in an old Bedford truck. There's a different house there now to what we were in, but and then also a big shed. But that's the house paddock. Looking up towards the Donald Road. And up towards the Swanwater South School. We used to ride our bikes to school, or if we had a flat bike, we'd have to walk. This is where the Swanwater South School was. Used to ride our bikes here. About 1.5 miles, I think we used to ride. Just off the Donald Road. The remains of what used to be our garden. We're up on the Donald Road looking towards the Swanwater silos. And at the back of the farm. I'm now up on the Donald Road up near Les Bugies, and I'm looking right down the Swanwater silos. Where we lived, the house, and on the road into St Arnaud.
Birthday, and I thought, well, it has a little extra significance.
Today is the 26th of September 1991, and we're down about 3 miles the other side of Stewart Mill, opposite Quinn's. Bob and I used to own. We bought this from Mary and Jim Walsh. It's a highway to Ballarat. I'm now across the road and I'm looking into what is known as Quinn's. This paddock is before we get to Mary Walsh's, just before the bridge. We're down a little bit from Mary Walsh's house, which is called Coolvan. And that's the end of the property on the left-hand side going towards Ballarat and the highway. This beautiful big pine tree is to the side of Mary Walsh's house.
Now, we always knew this as Coolahans when Mum, Esther
Charlotte.
Mary Voss, was growing up. Miss Coolahan used to live here. And Mum used to ride her pony up from Kelvin Grove and visit Miss Coolahan. And Mum always had a very beautiful little brooch, a gold leaf with an emerald in it. And it was given to her by Miss Coolahan. And there used to be a huge mulberry tree here, and Mum used to come up and get mulberries when she was little. And when we were small too, we used to stop by here and get mulberries from the tree.
The house is behind these trees. Still Mary Walsh's, but looking down to Boss's property, Roma's mother's parents.
Dad, Harry John Romey, used to own this paddock, and it used to be thick with timber. And he had an old bark hut on it with an open fire, dirt floor. And when we'd come down from Swanwater, part of the family would stay with Grandma Romey and Grandpa Romey, and the rest of the family would stay with Grandma and Grandpa Voss. And we'd come up here during the day, and I can remember playing around the old bark hut.
Just down the highway a little bit further from where Mary Walsh lived. Oh, probably about, what, a kilometre, June, do you think?
Yes.
There's June sitting on some timber left lying here. Ron Paynes, they cleared all the timber off, but Dad used to have sheep down here, and Grandpa Voss used to walk across and look at them. Another part of Voss's property.
We're looking up to the Greenbelt block behind that paddock, aren't we, Roma?
Yes. Grandpa used to rent that, and then Bob and I rented it when we rented the property for Mum, and later bought it. Looking down to where the house, Voss's house was, near the bridge, and to Mount Separation at the back. We shifted our railway carriage up from here and put it on our land at Kooree. Got something in a cow then, I think, towards the Ballarat Road. Oh, I guess it's about half a mile through the paddock. And then over towards Ted Payne's shed over there we can see.
Now, this is the same spot, but facing west. The Ballarat Road is behind us. This is up in the green block, or the forest, which Grandpa Voss used to rent. Now, we're looking at old Jack Belford's hut. Old Jack Belford was an old solitary old man who used to live up here. He had a slab hut with a bark roof, and you can see the remains of his fireplace there, which of course was at the end of the hut, inside the hut. And you can also see a couple of forked
sticks up there.
sticks and a pole across, and that would have been just beside his hut. And he used to do a bit of fossicking for gold, and every so often he'd go off into Avoca to do some shopping, and also he would have trapped rabbits and so on to live on. And he had this great pipe that he used to smoke, and this old felt hat dumped on the top of his head. We'd come up with grandfather and we'd all chat away with Jack Belford for a while. He was an interesting old character.
This is a bridge over Cherry Tree Creek facing St Arnaud and just close to where Grandma and Grandpa Voss lived.
Now, just over there under the peppercorn trees is where they used to have the old house where Grandfather Voss's mother and father used to live and where Mum was born. And then you've got Cherry Tree Creek just below that. And there was always water there, even in the driest of summers.
Right.
Now we're across the road with Grandma Voss's house behind us, looking across the paddock to the creek. Now, Grandmother used to have a fenced-in garden there to keep the rabbits out, and she had quinces and various soft fruits and raspberries and Cape gooseberries. And then down below where the camera's focused now, well, there's an old cherry tree in flower, I think, isn't it? The old fruit tree, or is it a plum? And down below that, in an elbow of the creek, in very good soil, they used to grow a lot of their vegetables. And now the camera's focused on another of the fruit trees that Gran and Grandmother used to get their fruit from.
And this pepper tree here, we used to have a swing and swing hanging down. Was it rope, June? I've forgotten.
Yes.
Anyway, we used to spend lots of hours swinging under that tree.
And that tree was there when Mum was a girl too, because I've seen it in the old pictures. And just behind it's the old shed, the remnants of the old shed that used to be the Cobb and Co staging post in the early days. And then Grandmother and Grandfather used to use it for their car, and Grandmother used to have ferns and things in it, and she used to keep her Pomeranian dogs in the end section at the left, and then their house was built in front of that.
Little creek.
Cherry Tree Creek. Just near Gran and Grandma's house, and Grandmother had her chook yard down near the creek. But one of the things about this creek was that there were always a lot of snakes around it, so you had to be very careful.
And the bridge I'm sitting on, when it was a hot day and there wasn't any water under it, we used to come down here, and us kids used to stay with Grandma and Grandpa, and we used to sit underneath it because it was nice and cool and count the cars that went over our hedge. This is where the little garden was, just up the creek, and I'm just on the opposite side of the bridge. This is the end paddock of Voss's. It used to be our cattle paddock when we had cattle. Very good paddock. We're now at Marisk, a couple of miles south of Voss's down the Ballarat Road. This is where Rome's father, Harry John Romey, and Auntie Elsie, his sister, were born and lived as children.
That was left to him.
Looking down the Nattyallick Road, just the end of where Dad used to live. I think there's about 12 acres or 12.5 acres. Then looking up north again, same paddock. The highway to St Arnaud. This is the Red Bank Cemetery. And June is standing by the grave of our parents, Harry John Ramey and Esther Charlotte Mary Voss.
Grandparents and
Beside Grandma Voss and Grandpa Voss, and Grandpa's parents buried beside. This grave is where the parents of Harry John Ramey are buried, John and Fanny. And I'm up Ted Payne's Road, just filming the Pyrenees. We're looking towards the Ballarat Road now. And looking down. And the highway. The Denali Road. Standing up. We're taking Lindy back to Ballarat for Lisa. She nicked off when she was going to go back yesterday, and Jean's just having a little walk while I'm filming them. So it's the 29th of September 1991, and this is my sister Charlotte's house at Clonmatook, where we had Catherine's 21st last night. Charlotte has a beautiful garden. These marigolds are very pretty. Big face. Jean, Charlotte and Bruce in the background. Yes?
They're from the school, Bruce. We used to grow them. We went to school. I had a circular garden.
Yes, but I've had to put it, but I had them.
It's the front of Charlotte's house. Beautiful stocks. In the shed, the Chrysler there used to belong to Dad, Harry John Ramey. He was very proud of that. And next door's the old Bedford truck. Harry J. Ramey swan water on the truck door. Part of Charlotte's veggie garden. Always has a lot of veggies. Enters them at local shows. There's Sandy, the dash hound, sitting by his kennel on the back veranda. He's about 12-year-old. The rest of Charlotte's veggie garden. Bruce. Jean. And Charlotte mowing the veggies. Bruce has now joined them. This is Charlotte's big turnip, one of them.